Hey, I'm Grant Babbitt.
And I'm Steven Farnsworth.
And you're listening to It's a Dad Thing podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of It's a Dad Thing podcast. Hey, Steven, it's been a long time, my friend, since we've done one of these. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's clearly it's the holiday season now. For any of you that are watching this as opposed to listening to it, I've got my my Christmas tree back there in the background. Yeah, here it is. Welcome to December now. I think the last one we did one of these. Gosh, man, it's been a little treacherous for us with this COVID and everything else that's going on in between. It's been busy. You know, I don't know about you. I know that I've been very busy. You know, I know I have 4 kids. Last time we recorded one of these, my little one was turning 2 months old.
Wow.
He now is 6 months old and going on 7 in a few weeks. So I mean, time flies for sure. So yeah, I'm glad to be back here doing some episodes, or at least I'm doing this episode with you right now. I'm psyched to be doing this. So yeah, what about you, man? How you been?
I've been good. I mean, it's been a long time since we chatted officially on this podcast, but you know, just hanging in there. Like, I think I don't even remember the last episode if I was still in Michigan at that point. I'm back here in LA. I've been back here in LA for a couple months now. So, you know, just trying to hang in there with the family, working from home like everybody else. And, you know, we're freelancers at the end of the day, and we work in the film industry. And so our industry, like a whole lot of other ones, was hit really hard. And just in the last, I think since early October, I've seen a big swing and production's finally coming back or figuring out a way to come back, which has been huge. That's been awesome for our industry. And so, you know, trying to ride that wave until the holidays, which is here, you know, now it's here.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, actually, you know, guys, part of why we haven't been able to do an episode in so long is that, you know, at first Steven was really busy working a job. He went back out to Michigan and we're doing your job, and I was still doing the hustle back here. And then we kind of flipped. I think when you were wrapping up, then I started working on, I was working on a Marvel show. I guess I can tell you what it is now because it's coming out soon. But I worked on WandaVision, which is a Marvel's first venture into the Disney Plus series section of the Marvel MCU, right? The cinematic universe. So I was working on WandaVision from, gosh, I would say end of August all the way through mid-November. I was still working on it. So, and I'm talking like 80-hour work weeks. My wife was a single mom of 4 during that time. So, I mean, the podcast was not even a possibility at that time. So
yeah, we barely chatted even. It was like you were just so swamped.
Yeah, very much so. So our apologies, you know, for our 5 listeners, anybody, you know, and Steven's family or my family that are listening. We're really sorry it's been so long. Listen, no, but we are very thankful for any of you who have been listening to episodes, and we're glad to have you back. I mean, this is something we do. We do as a passion for us. So, you know, we're glad to be here for any of you dads out here and for anybody who's listening. And yeah, I mean, it's good to be back in the saddle of sorts, I guess.
Yeah, and now, I mean, now we have like the huge uptick in cases. I think probably the last time we chatted, it was leveling off a little bit, and you know, it looked like, okay, well, maybe things stabilize, and we all kind of knew that, you know, the winter is coming, and the normal, you know, colds and flus and stuff that happened during that season. And so we're kind of in the middle of it now. Now we're right after Thanksgiving, so I think, you know, we're probably starting to see the cases from everybody gathering at Thanksgiving to start to hit. And but, you know, like at the same time, I feel like the people, at least I'm talking to, you know, are ready to move on. It's just we can't yet, you know, like we're all like, okay, that was cool, can we now move on? And now we kind of just have to adapt to this work from home, you know, quarantine. Even when we're on film shoots, we're, you know, full gear, you know, wearing masks, getting tested. There's protocols now in place. You know, nothing is really the same. I mean, here in LA, you know, for the most part, you can't go dine out anywhere, even outside. So it's been emotionally taxing for sure. And I think
Yeah.
that's, hard for a lot of dads as they get ready for the holiday season is, typically, you're a breadwinner or at least a part of that, and trying to figure out, how do I get our family through the holidays and everybody to have a
Mhm.
great time and be able to feel loved and celebrated. And then now, we're working on trying to make sure that our families are mentally healthy, and that we're
Yeah.
taking certain precautions, and then obviously like the family gatherings. I mean, what did you guys do for Thanksgiving? What was the kind of your
Well, so yeah, I mean, you know what? For us, it actually was quite enjoyable, and I say that as not saying that I don't want to be around family and friends for Thanksgiving, but it's been weird. Like ever since I developed my food allergies, like we've Thanksgiving has been my least favorite holiday, and I hate
yeah.
to say that because if you see my body type, right? If you're listening to this and you see my like, you can hear it in my voice. I've got a belly. All right, I love food. I love it. I love Thanksgiving. I love what it does, but here's the thing. Ever since I developed these food allergies, it's been like, just so risky to be able to go eat home cooking from someone or somebody who's like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
there's no milk in it. And it's like, maybe there's no milk on it, but what'd you make
Right.
before? What'd you make out? Like what was around it? So there's all these different factors, and we've tried it for years. I mean, especially we've been in LA for 9 years now. And I mean, many of those years we've been trying to go have some kind of like get together with friends. And we've even had like probably 3 or 4 like allergy friendly Thanksgiving where, like, okay, don't eat this, here's that,
Right.
whatever. And still, even then, I
Right.
was getting reactions that would happen. So it's like,
Yeah.
for me, it just like Thanksgiving was just not, it just wasn't what it used to be when I was a kid, unfortunately.
Right.
So yeah, we stayed at home, but I will say it was one of the most relaxing Thanksgivings.
Okay.
Like literally, like because we're at home and because I had been working, I didn't have to worry about work necessarily. So I
Right.
was just like the day before I was able to I mean, I say take a break. I was able to let my wife kind of take a break, but not really
Yeah.
because she literally prepared all the different foods like the day before, with the exception of a couple things the day of. And she would
Yeah.
like, pre-cook everything and then stick it in the fridge. And she was like, yeah, I feel great. Like we're ready for Thanksgiving. And I was like, yeah, that feels weird, doesn't it? And but
Yeah.
I'm being like on daddy duty with all 4 of the
Mhm.
kids and just like, okay, you ready for the kids yet? No? Okay. All right. I got them. I'll keep going. So, I mean, that part was like stressful, but that's what I do. Like, I'm a dad. I love being
Yep.
with the kids. So as stressful as it gets, that's still like, that's all part of the holiday season, and I
Yep.
wouldn't change anything. So yeah, I mean, it was fun. We were at home. My wife makes amazing allergy friendly food, and it just this quarantine belly that I've got grows 3 sizes bigger because it's so delicious. So thank you to my wife. It's amazing. But yeah, that's what we
Yes.
did. I mean, what about you guys? Did you guys? I know you guys have some like adults that live in your home. So I
Yes.
don't know if
Yeah.
their choices and what they do may be different. Did you guys go out? Did anybody come over? Like,
No.
what'd you guys do?
We ended up, it was just the 7 of us total. So everybody
Okay.
in that lives here, we just all hung out. And honestly, Sarah from a week before was like just crushed Thanksgiving, just absolutely crushed it. I mean, she had it all lined up. She cooked on Wednesday for most of the day. Thursday was like, from my perspective, I just kept being like, what can I do? And she's like, it's all ready. Like we're not even ready for the next meal. Like chill out, and
Yeah.
so she was just like crushing it. And we stayed, we had food, leftovers for days. But
Hmm.
we typically will do like a Friendsgiving thing where we'll get together with maybe like 20, 30 other people. And we'll do some kind of get together. But we talked it out several weeks ahead of time, and we all kind of split up in pods of like, okay, some of them, have kids in daycare and they have to keep the whatever pod they're in, or whatever who they've chosen to be in their COVID pod.
Hmm.
um and so we just kind of split it up, and it ended up being like, you know what, like let's just be us this year.
Yeah.
And it was even affected my family. My brother, who lives in Denver, usually goes home as well. And he actually stayed in Denver. this Thanksgiving. So I mean, it was hard because, you know, everyone was feeling that pressure of like,
Yeah.
we still want to see each other, but we understand like there's rules and there's the social things that we have to be careful of, because we just want to be conscious of those who can get it and can get really affected by it, you know. And
Yeah.
so but yeah, I mean, I think we're, as we round, you know, Thanksgiving now becomes the bigger, I feel like, holiday season, even though travel is technically, I think, is higher in Thanksgiving. But then you come at like Christmas, Hanukkah, that kind of like end of the year, New Year's celebration.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do? You know, like what do you do? Because that's usually like, at least in the film industry, LA starts to shut down, you know, here in a
Mm-hmm.
couple of weeks. And everyone, it kind of becomes a ghost town a little bit. And I'm don't think
Yeah.
it will be that way this year.
Honestly, usually like Christmas Day is like the best time to go out and drive around LA. I mean, if you have
Yes.
family in town,
Yes.
like don't stay at home, like go to the beach or whatever, because like nobody's out.
Yes.
You know, but obviously that's different this year. It's this whole year has been different just with traffic in LA, which is just a weird thing to kind of comprehend in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the holidays, yeah, that's, you know, for us it's been, because we have four littles, and you know, I know you've got three littles, but you've got one that's a little bit bigger. You know, we talk about like, okay, how is it going to be when Santa comes in? Like, do
Yeah.
we need to
Yeah.
leave? Do we need to leave wipes out for him? Do we need to like, is he going
Right.
to have his mask? Like, you know, that's the kind of stuff. And I don't know if I don't know if you saw it or not. I sent you a link, and I think it'd be great. I'll try to throw it up on our Instagram soon, or Facebook, and any kind of stuff. But in Australia, one of the
Yes.
the congressman in Australia came out and basically said that, like, look, Santa is exempt from these rules because Santa is an
Yes.
essential worker and it's very important.
Yes.
And it was like, you know, over the top, adorable video, but also it's like that's a fun video to be able to share with your kids and be like, look, what Santa does is
Right.
very important, right? So, you know,
Right.
we
He's
don't have to worry
essential.
about, yeah, he don't have to worry. We'll make sure that the cookies and everything that we set out are clean. We're not going to touch them, you know, like it's all
Right.
sanitized and it's
Right.
good, the best we can do it. But you know, I mean, that whole process is so different. But having that
Mhm.
conversation with the kids, and they're like, well, but is he still okay to, yeah, he's okay to do it, but you know,
Right.
Santa has
Right.
some magic, you know. So yeah, it's been like the fact that they can't go see Santa and talk to him, you know, at first they were just like, well, how do we tell him like our list, and you know, like what do we tell him
Right.
that's on our list this year? And
Right.
very valid question. I mean, as a kid, I would have been
Right.
flipping
It's
out
very
like,
important.
yeah, because think about it, when we were kids, if you wanted to send a letter, you could send a letter, or you could wait 30 minutes and try to send an email through AOL. Like that just that, you know, it's way different now. But you know, my
Yeah.
wife has this great app on her phone that basically you're able to text Santa, and
Okay.
he can then either make phone calls or text you back, and that way you can communicate with
Nice.
them. And we can use it to make
Nice.
sure we have, you know, the naughty or nice, like, okay, here, give her some updates here or there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a good way we communicate with them. The kids actually today, of all days, they sat down and wrote out their letters to Santa, so we'll be able to mail
Mhm.
them off in enough time. But yeah, it's definitely it's definitely different in that regard. So
Now, wait,
um,
is this like an actual app, or is this somebody that you know that responds?
no, it's an actual app.
Okay.
I want to say I'll have to okay. I don't have the answer right now, so this is basically useless that
Okay.
I'm saying it. Except I'm hyping it up.
You're hyping it up. I
But
see. Yeah.
they're not gonna buy ad space in our podcast. But
Right.
when I find out, my wife's got on her phone, I figure out what it is. I'll try to make sure I share it on the social media platforms, i.e., Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah.
It's a Dad Thing podcast at all those places if you're listening. Yeah, so
Well,
I'll
because
make sure I'll share
I
them
have a
there.
reason for asking.
Okay.
So this is a side tangent, but we do, you know, the Tooth Fairy, right? So the Tooth
Mhm.
Fairy for the last few years has been very busy at our household. And
Sure.
so there's times that, you know, he or she forgets, you know, and the tooth is under the pillow. Oh my gosh, Tooth Fairy's too busy, or there's other, you know,
Mhm.
there's other things going on. And so there has to be some kind of communication to make sure that the tooth fairy is going to come or come back sometimes when there's
Yeah.
multiples. And so we don't have an app, but we have a secret family member that responds to the text.
Oh, that's great.
So we have it as tooth fairy in mom's phone, and she can ask the tooth fairy, and the children can see it live that, hey, they responded, said they're coming back tonight. Make sure you put it under the pillow.
Nice.
So little tip there for, you know, any other dads out there, that you can get a, you know, random cousin or something to be designated as your person to respond, to make sure that you let your kids know, listen, I've talked to them directly. You can see it right here, and they're coming. You know,
but you know what? I'm gonna caution you. If you're gonna do that, you've got to commit, and that person's got to commit, right? Because you got to remember,
yes,
as your kids are getting older, they're getting smarter. They're catching on to
yes,
stuff, and they're like, that voice sounds different. No, it's not different. You're like,
no, it's always
it's
text.
Different. Yeah, you
always
okay?
text.
All right. Well,
never voice, and it's somebody that Sarah would not text ever, except for this thing.
Got it.
You know, so it's not like a direct brother and sister, you know, where you have a lot of information swing. It's like a more distant relative that has been designated and has brought that on and taken that on as a challenge. And
excellent.
I highly recommend that for ways that you as dads can recover from oh my gosh, I fell asleep and didn't make that happen.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, that's a good call. No, I mean, look, it's all about being able to be creative. I mean, think on your toes, obviously, but you also just want to make sure, like, think about what you experienced when you were a kid, right? This is completely different than anything we experienced as a kid this year in particular, right? I mean, this is I can't even think of anything that's like remotely close to this. Like, I don't remember ever feeling like Christmas could be canceled. And like, that's the kind of feel this year. I mean, yes, it's still on and there's still people shopping and that whole thing, but like, it's so different. Like, we can't see family members. We have a almost 7-year-old newborn baby, and our family members have not met him. Like,
crazy.
That blows my mind, because like, we always have family here at some point, or we go see family, and like that whole aspect of it, and just, you know, they can't hang out with their cousins. None of this stuff is possible. So like, it's totally different. The fact that, you know, they're questioning like, oh, well, we don't get to see Santa. Like, how is he going to put stuff in our stockings? Like, why is it, you know, I get it. Like, it would mess with my mind as a kid too. So yeah, I mean, using those apps, talking to that friend, I mean, those are all really great creative ways of doing this. You know, one thing that we're finding out that's harder for us is that, you know, now everything has to come through the mail. So not only is it like, if we have gifts for the kids or something, but like, I have a gift for my wife, and I'm like, I have the notifications on my phone, and she has, you know, when my wife orders something from Amazon, I'm the one that goes, oh, hey, it's at the doorstep. And she's like, but stop, you got to turn those off. Like, you got to turn the notifications off. I'm like, well, I'm just signed up. Like, it just goes to me. So, you know, if I look at my phone thinking it's like an ESPN update, then it's not. It's like, oh, here's this gift. Like, I could spoil Christmas. So I mean, like, you know, and same thing today. I got a notification and I ran to the door and I was like, hey, I don't have free time right now, but don't go outside. She's like, what? I can't go outside. And I was like, well, if you do, just like, don't look at the box there, because there might be writing on it, and I just don't want you to have any idea what it could be. So like, just don't, just pretend it's not there. And like, that's what we have to do now. And this whole like, okay, now I got to bring in, and for us, I don't know about you guys, but for us, like, we still go through the process of like, we bring groceries home and we clean groceries. Like, it sounds so weird to me that we've been doing it for so long, but now I'm like, it sounds weird that I didn't do that before COVID. Like, if I really think about how gross stuff is that comes into our house.
I mean, there's definitely things that I will continue after COVID. You know, my example is at the airport when you put your stuff in the tray and it goes through the scanner, and then they're like cleaning out the containers afterwards. I was like, that one, we might want to keep that one, because you know, people's just hands and grimy and all that kind of stuff. That's probably a good one to keep.
It's probably
there definitely is some things that I plan on keeping, but yeah, it's a totally different thing. And I think, that goes back to like what we talked about. I mean, it's really like talking it out with your kids, really talking with your spouse first, right? And trying to figure out, hey, what's our game plan? Like, what are things that we can do, and be on the same page there first. And then you can kind of talk to the kids about, Santa, family, kind of give them a heads up. Hey, it's going to look different this year,
Yeah.
and it all depends on your family dynamic, internally. And then also, do you live close to relatives? Is it a plane ride away? But it's all about that communication, because I think sometimes we forget that as parents, that we're inundated with all this information, and so we sometimes kind of like suppress it, right? We're like, we're not
Yeah.
going to look at the news, we're not going to do this for a little while. But sometimes I forget that the kids don't get any of that information. They're only getting what I tell them. It's not like they're waking up in the morning and flipping open their phone and looking at the news app. And
Mhm.
so it's not, and that's where it's like I have to be that filter for them of like, hey, what can we talk about, what can we remain positive about, so not everything is so like everything is terrible. But
Mhm.
like you said, kind of trying to find those unique ways that we can celebrate still together, and a lot of that is like through Zoom or through, FaceTime or something like that. I think we just have to be a little bit more intentional this year,
Yeah.
where a lot of those is like, hey, we'll just get the cousins together, we'll meet up, and it all just kind of happens organically. And this time it's really like we have to set up that Zoom call, or make sure grandma knows how to turn it on, or
Mhm.
like we have to take that extra step in order to still have that family engagement, which is really important, and to
Yeah.
still have that time where kids can still see their cousins, or grandparents, and those kinds of things. um it's
Well,
just like
another
you said, it's a lot harder this year.
Absolutely. But I mean, that's one of the things like my kids are getting to the point now where they can start to read. Like my 7-year-old is
Mhm.
flying through chapter books. Like he
That's
loves
great.
reading. And my
Yep.
my 5-year-old is starting to learn how to read. So like it's amazing to see where they're at, especially compared to, a year or two ago, whatever. So what we've been doing is we've been calling the cousins, and then we'll trade off reading books to each other, and we'll read like
That's
holiday
great.
books.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's something that's really simple. You can definitely do it. You can do it over FaceTime, over Zoom. I
Right.
think it's probably something I'm going to do. You know what I think I I've what I like to do, like I read the Grinch to them every year, right? And I do like a
Hmm.
Grinch voice, whatever, the Jim Carrey Grinch voice. That was a terrible impression. I mean, that was embarrassing how bad that was just now. But I do an okay one. That was a real bad one. I do an okay one. No, but I have fun with it, to the point where like the
Hmm.
kids love reading Grinch every year because it's like a whole family like engagement thing with the voices, and
Right.
they know the
Hmm.
parts and they play along. And so, what I've wanted to do is like put a little video together and just have me and the kids read the Grinch, and then we can send it
Hmm.
out to our friends. And
Right.
it's not it doesn't take a whole lot. Yes, you
Right.
can produce it, you can do something fun with it, you can spend a lot of time with it, you can really involve your family and do something really cool.
Right.
Or again, you could just get on FaceTime or get your phone out and record one of the kids reading a holiday book, like
Yep.
reading a holiday book. Enunciation is really difficult for me. And I mean, you just send out a little video to friends and family, and like that's your holiday card. You don't have to get
Right.
out the holiday
Right.
card and send it, and then everybody worries about like, oh, did somebody touch it and the mail person touched it? And now, I mean, like, yes, that
Right.
that happens, and there's different levels of acceptability that people are with the COVID and germs and stuff. And like,
Right.
if you're at that point where like it's better just to not send something physical, you
Hmm.
can send something like that. It's super simple. If you don't have video, if you don't have your makeup on, you don't look nice that day, whatever it could be, send
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
audio track. I mean, it's all these things are possible. We have all this technology right on our phones. So
Right.
it's a great way to connect, and it's a little bit of like a creative way to do it, because I know there's a lot of people that are Zoom fatigued right now.
Very much
um
so. Yeah.
so I get it. I'm not looking forward to having like the Zoom open for 3 hours while we do holiday this year. It's probably
Yeah.
just
I
like,
personally I don't like that
yeah,
personally. But that's, I think that goes back to, discussing it, and it's discussing it with your family members, what they're comfortable with.
yeah.
I know that there's some of our family members are potentially traveling out to California.
Mm,
Don't know how that's going to work, or if that's still going to happen. But when that conversation comes up, because it's going to come up, if it hasn't already, it's going to come up very, very shortly.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal to, talk about how you feel, but really be compassionate about how other people feel as well.
Yeah.
Because as I've noticed traveling around, I've traveled way more than I expected during a global pandemic. I've been in so many different states, and each one is so different, and it's different, because of cases, or people are spread out more, or, and so that then lends itself to different perspectives on what's really happening. And so that's the big thing, is like, just have compassion for your family members that may not agree with you. Either they're more strict or less strict, or they have a different idea of what their threshold is compared to yours. But that's a big deal during this time, as we kind of all prep ourselves for the big time where we really want to be together. And sometimes you can make that work, if people are willing to work together and compromise and those kinds of things. But it's so much more difficult than it normally is. Already you have family members, and you have all the dynamics and the relationships and all that kind of stuff. And now you throw on top of that, you now have safety concerns, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, which, we've never dealt with that way in our lifetime. And I really hope and pray that, our kids don't have to deal with it either.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah. I would love for them not to grow up and have to deal with this kind of thing. Being young adults, being fathers and mothers themselves. Yes, absolutely. But I will say, yes, the compassion thing, 100%, like having compassion for the fact that everybody is dealing with this differently. And you know what? That's the other thing. My wife and I talked about this a lot, because, we have our families in Kansas, and Kansas and California are, politically completely different. You're talking far sides of the extreme. Now, that doesn't mean that we're very much different, but the actual state and how it's governed is completely different, right? And without getting too far into politics and going down that rabbit hole, which I'm not going to do, it's just the simple fact that, like, if you have different rules in different places, and that's what you're living in. Like, we live in this California bubble, this LA bubble right now, where we are, but my family lives in the Kansas bubble and where they are. And like, my sister sent me pictures of her son playing soccer. And, this is a few months back, but like showed me video of her son playing soccer. And I thought, gosh, the first thought is like, I would love to have my kids do that. And the other thought is like, why don't those kids have masks on? Like, why is it like, we're not even allowed to do that. So, just the fact that, like, they're experiencing this, like, they could do sports, they do in-person and at home learning, where we're like 100% remote. There's no extracurricular activities. Like, it's just completely different. And it's crazy, because of course we're all still in the same country, but clearly regionally it's so much different. And, and I learned right away that, like, COVID shaming or mask shaming or any of that kind of stuff, like, it's not helping anybody. I'm not changing anybody's mind, right? If I seem to be more inclined to do the mask, and look, I just told you I wash my groceries, so you got to know I'm a huge germaphobe with the COVID. Like, I can't get around it. I can't say like, oh, I'm cool with it. No, I'm not cool with it. Okay, I'm freaked out all the time. But here's the thing: I'm trying to learn how to adapt. I'm clearly much more comfortable now, which I don't know if it's a good thing, but I'm more comfortable with being able to manage and handle situations. Where at the beginning I was a wreck, like I'm sure a lot of other people were. I've come down off the ledge for that a little bit. I'm a little more sane, I would say. But you got to remember, in comparison to like my family in Kansas, what we're doing is just so different that it's like I have to be compassionate to them. And the fact that, like, look, I'm jealous we don't live closer, because my sister can head over to my parents' house. Like, they can get together for a birthday party. Like, as much as I'm saying, don't do that. Like, no, that's not what we're supposed to do. As much as I feel that on the inside, there's a huge part of me. It's just like, I don't know when I'm going to see my family again. And like, that part hurts so bad. HoliDAZE are one thing, yes, but just the fact that, like I said, we have this 7-month-old baby, almost 7-month-old baby, who has never met his grandparents or any other family outside of this house. And like, we don't have any other kids that were raised that way. Like, I just don't. I know it's not just hard on me; it's hard on my family, because like you were talking about having family maybe come out to, San Diego area or
Hmm.
California, whatever.
Yep.
I had a conversation with my dad, and I mean, this was again months back. It's when the baby was born. He's still real little, and my dad was saying, hey, I got these really good price on airline tickets. If I can come out
Yeah.
there, I can come out there for a couple weeks and make it happen. It's really cheap flights. Well, and I'm thinking, yeah, duh. Like, of course it's cheap flights. Like nobody wants to fly,
Right.
But again, that's
Right.
this is the two different places. And and my dad said, well, hey, look, I can come out for 2 weeks. And I said, Dad, if you come out, like you're gonna have to find a place to quarantine before we can see you for 2 weeks. So it's probably not worth it. And just as much as I'm saying that to protect my family,
Right.
protect my
Right.
children, protect my wife, protect, I know that that's breaking my dad's heart. And
Yeah.
like knowing now as a dad, if my kids said, Dad, you can't come see me, and if you do, you have to do that. Like I can't believe what I just said to my dad. Like that
Right.
level of
Right.
compassion that we're talking about. It's like, yeah, maybe we don't agree and we don't see things different, but I know how much he loves these kids, right? Aside
Yeah.
from me,
Yeah.
I'm just a bonus. He loves these grandkids. And like my whole
Sure.
family
Yeah.
loves these grandkids. And the fact that he has not gotten to hold his littlest grandson
Right.
right now is
Right.
eating him up. And I know the family, it's really hard on them. So yes, when we think about compassion, we're not just thinking about like, oh well, I'm gonna deal with them and whatever they have going on. No, you're literally, everybody is dealing with this thing in their own way, and they're all hurt from one way or another. And maybe somebody is getting together and they're enjoying this like there's no problem. And that's
Hmm.
great for them that they can deal with that. I don't have that. I have that
Yeah.
thoughts and those feelings of like, okay, Christmas is coming, you know, we're not going to see family. We're used to not seeing family. But the fact that like we've been in our house for months and months and months and months, and
Yeah.
now this year that everybody has been just hating on so much is coming to a close, we
Right.
still cannot escape the thing, which is COVID, and be able to see our family and experience that, like the love and the joy, and let's be
Right.
honest, the stress and the craziness that comes with it.
Right. Of course.
It's all
Yeah.
part of it. But so I mean, yes, it's yes, I agree with you 100%. The compassion and having that compassion for others, and not shaming them, and or same thing on the flip side. If my family was shaming me about wanting to wear a mask, and I'm not going
Hmm.
to handle
Hmm.
that well, but if
Right.
they can understand why I'm so fearful, they don't have to agree with why I'm fearful, but we can understand each other and say like, look, when we say we're in it together, we really are
Yeah.
in it together. Like we're not going anywhere.
Right.
So, if we want this to be over, we're all going to have to work together somehow. So having that compassion, having that care for one another, family, neighbors, whatever, I mean, is so vital to not just like every day, but like making this holiday season, something that we can all enjoy, and be able to be great examples for our kids. So
Yeah.
I went on a
No, and I,
tangent, but that's I'm pouring my heart out to you, Stephen.
no, I appreciate it. I mean, I think, as dads, like um, for me, I try to tend to remove the emotion from things, which can be my work business power, or my work superpower, right? Is that I can remove emotions and make quick decisions, or, weather the storm and that kind of thing. But when it comes to family dynamics and COVID and holidays and all that stuff, you can't do that. That just
Mhm.
ruins things, and then you become insensitive. Um and at the end of the day, it's like, would we do this if the pandemic wasn't this way? No, we would go visit them, we would figure out a way, we would do something different. So no one's really getting what they want. No one's really super happy with how things are right now. And I think that's, just like you and I with the podcast thing, it's really just like, okay, well, we still got to move forward. We still got to figure out a way to move forward. Yes, there's a time to kind of be like in sorrow and what could have been of 2020, which I think everybody had super high hopes of,
Mhm. Mhm.
but and maybe we'll do a little bit of that on New Year's Eve. But the reality is that, hey, we got to figure out a way to move forward. What can we do that's thinking outside the box, or what can we start planning now? Because it's going to take more planning. For me, I'm usually more of like, hey, I have a lot of fun, interacting with people during the holiday season in person, and I really enjoy that, the discussions and the chatting and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's like, how do I set that up and still do that without it's going to take some planning, is basically what I'm saying, and more than usual, and more discussion and communication ahead of time, of like knowing where those family members are and how to get a hold of them. And and like you said, I don't like the Zoom. I don't like the Zoom, like all day Zoom. Like, I don't like setting it up in a corner and doing that, even though like I know my brother's family did it, I think, on Thanksgiving Day, and my family tried to do it, and I said, no thanks, I'll just chat with you guys later.
So I gotta admit something. This is pre-dad life, okay? But it was right before I became a dad. So when we first moved to LA, we moved in August, and like by December, I mean November, December, whatever, I went back in November to get like our bed and our dog, right? And then we drove back. And like, so it was a very weird transition out here to LA, the first time either one of us, my wife or I, both were away from Kansas, away from family, nobody out here that we really knew other than, maybe some friends who went to school with. But for a Christmas present, my wife was so distraught and so homesick that I was like, look, okay. And at the time, $700 was so much money. I bought $700, which is a round trip flight to go back home for the holidays and then to come back. Right. Definitely wanted her to come back. So I got a round trip flight. But what I did, this is what, 2011. So it was before Zoom. I don't know if Zoom was around then, but Skype was around. And I had figured out how to hook up my camera into my, computer, and then I could have a microphone, and I had my light up, and I was like, oh yeah, this is great. And, my old PC or something. And so anyway, I ended up, my holiday, my Christmas was me there alone in LA, sitting, looking at my screen for 7 hours.
Oh my gosh.
7 hours while I was a computer in the corner of the room, and people would come over and grab it and go, oh, hey, yeah. Well, we'll just set you over here. Boop. And I mean, it was like,
that sounds exhausting.
It does. And it also sounds like the loneliest thing in the entire world.
Oh, look, Grant's by himself. Hey, buddy.
Oh, I hope you're enjoying your Christmas present. I'm so lonely. Yes, it was tough. Like, I mean, because I'm homesick too, right? But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stick it out and make LA work. And so I get it, man. I have that etched in my brain forever. That is not something I ever want to do again. So yes, I will try not to subject any of my family members to that kind of holiday ever again. So yes, for sure. The holiday thing is nuts, man. It's I will say though, on a positive note, because I know you're saying like I know you're a planner. You and I are so different. You love to plan. Yes, you can outline, you can plan, you can have organizers. Like it's nerd heaven for you. I know. And I love that about you, but I'm the complete opposite. Like I could care less about, I want things to be organized, but I'm like, I don't really want to be the one to organize it. I'd like you to come organize it for me and then tell me where it all is. And then I'm like, great, thanks, Steven. Bye-bye. Like that's all. I want someone to do that. So I need someone to, Mary Kondo my house or whatever for me, so I don't have to do it. Anyway, it was such a summer reference.
Home Edit, I think, is the other one.
Home
Shout
Edit.
out to Home Edit.
I'm behind on my home organizing shows. Anyway, okay. So the positive thing is like, if you're on video, if you're watching this, if you see behind me, the Christmas tree's up. If you can't, I'm telling you, the Christmas tree's up if you're listening. But here's the crazy thing, because, COVID, because we're just at home most of the time, when I wrapped up with WandaVision and I had I got to be around the house. I didn't have to worry about bills because I had just worked my butt off for 2 months. So, I was like, okay, cool. I'm good. I can breathe for a little bit.
Right.
Also, I want to be able to invest my time back in my family because I just hadn't seen them for 2 months. Side note, I also like quarantined myself from giving my kids or my wife a kiss on the lips from the time I began working on the project until 2 weeks after. So actually, when I came and worked with you on that little weekend project, I was like 2 days away from being able to kiss everybody. And my kids were like, "Can I kiss on the lips and share food yet?" And I was like, "No." So we actually sat down with a calendar and figured out that it
Okay.
wouldn't be until November 30th that I could give them a kiss on the lips. And so
Because
we
of
kept
me.
because no, not because of you, but yes, definitely because of you. No,
Right.
but the funny thing is that I started calling it Kissmas and saying that November 30th was Kissmas. And so like the 29th was Kissmas Eve. And
Of course you did.
like, which is so fun for me because they're just, my
Right.
kids like, "Oh, I get to kiss you tomorrow." I'm like, "I love this. I love affection. Like, this is so excited." And then I'm turning my wife going like, "I'm gonna get you tomorrow. I'm gonna get you because tomorrow's Kissmas." I'm like, "I hope you enjoyed these last 2 months because I'm gonna get it." So anyway, there's a little side note for you. But what I was saying, the quality time, the wrapping up on the project. I know. I'm embarrassment to you. I don't mind. I don't mind. This is how I am. You know this. So the good thing is that, like I said, when I wrapped up on WandaVision and I could be back with my family, we thought, you know what, why not go to storage and just go ahead and get the Christmas stuff? Because like that's where we keep it
Right.
all. And whatever, let's go get it. And I think it was early November when we went and got it. I mean, right after I had wrapped. And so I went and got the Christmas stuff and brought it back. And we had all the boxes around the house of the Christmas stuff. And finally we got it all unpacked. And, then it was a Veterans Day, which the kids don't have school, which, for us, it's just like, oh, okay. So you're not on the computer that day,
Right.
which is, and normally, Veterans Day, you'd be able to, like we've got people in our family that are veterans. So, you want to celebrate them. And normally we could, go to cemetery or do any kind of like memorial service or something like that for Veterans Day. And of course, we're not by anyone, we're not around anyone to participate in that. So I said, you know what, let's make this a family day since you guys don't have schools, don't have school. And so what we did is we ended up just turning Veterans Day into our Christmas celebration day. And so we literally spent all day putting getting the Christmas tree out and building it. And, it's a fake one. So we fluffed you got to fluff everything. Right. And I've got little fingers all trying to fluff the tree.
Yep.
So and hanging the ornaments. So, I mean, that was it. And what was funny is like, then when we Zoomed people after that, you'd hear them go, "Is that a Christmas tree in the background already?" And you're like, "Yeah, it is. And they're like, "Is that like a thing? Like, are you guys like those Christmas people that are just like super obsessed?" It's like, no. It's usually up on like the 23rd of December.
Right.
So we're just like, we're like weirdly relaxed right now because everything Christmas, like that's up. I mean, there's junk over here that we still need to like move so Santa can come in the chimney and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, like there, the Christmas lights are outside. We've got this up. We've got like the Christmas books and movies that they're already taking part in, and like all this stuff that usually is happening like the last couple weeks or week before Christmas, like they've been enjoying. And like that part of it's really great because not only that, but like my wife and I have already sat down and taken like, you stuff away the gifts and stuff. We've already taken them out. And like, literally, you would love this. We have organized them. And I say my wife did it.
Yeah.
I told her what it was. She organized it because I married a Steven. She's amazing. She put down on a list, like this person gets this person gets this. That. So now we know when we pull them out to wrap them, we know what's supposed to be there. So we're not going to, miss that thing in the back of the closet. Like
that's
happens so many times.
Yes.
But we're also but we're also going like, I think like we're done Christmas shopping. And it's early December. So I mean, that part of it is great. I mean, that's like a huge positive for, COVID. Being able to plan and organize is not something I'm used to, but I'm really enjoying it. It's really great. So I mean, like, I'm psyched. Like, I'm just trying not to go out and buy more presents, knowing that there's still more time. Like that's the hard part for me now. So
yeah. It's a different problem this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, I think it's exciting to kind of wrap up this year. I think, for me, it's this is our first year, our first season of, It's a Dad Thing podcast. And, we have some ideas of what we want to do in 2021 and to really kick off that second season. I think we're going to try to get another episode in here before the end of the year. And But we're super excited, and we want to bring other people on, like we want to bring other guests that can bring value to other dads and other people out there. And so, if you're a dad and you want to be on our podcast, or if you're a listener and you know somebody that would be great on our podcast, let us know. Hit us up on the social media handles or any other way to get a hold of us, and we'll reach out, because we're really open. You know what I mean? Like we're here to bring value to to our listeners and to other dads out there. And we're honestly, like, I know I'm super excited to dig into more sports stuff, because sports is it's back, and maybe it's like a jumbled mess, but so much to talk about in that respect. And
So
film
much.
is coming back as well, and so we'll start seeing a influx in the next handful of months of newer films and things that will be coming out. And so and there's always dad stuff to talk about. Always dad stuff.
Yes. By the way, shout out WandaVision, right? Marvel WandaVision is coming to Disney Plus on January 15th. So I am not sure. I'm not sure if they're dumping all the episodes, if they're doing like one a week. I don't know the process, but I know I worked my butt off on it. So go watch it.
Watch it.
And I will tell you, I think it's going to be a fun show. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So yes, please watch it. There's a nope, can't say anything. Can't say anything.
For those of you not watching the video, that was a very mental NDA discussion he just had in his head. And
NDA meaning non-disclosure agreement.
Yes.
So yeah, we have, being working on the shows and things we work on, there are certain things that we can say and lots of stuff that we can't say. Right. So, I almost went past that, and then I went, nope, this is being recorded. No. Anyway, enjoy the show, January 15th. Yes. And yes, it's any of you dads that are out there. Yes. First of all, if it's the first time listening to this episode, please, if you can, go back and listen to some of our other episodes. We obviously started the podcast in a crazy time, which was, 2020. Right. Why? But we did, right? And we're sticking around, and we've definitely hit some bumps in the road, but we're going to try our best to continue. So any of you dads that are out there, if there are topics that we haven't been able to cover so far, that you haven't been able to listen to, or that you listened to, we talked about, but you want to know more, and look, we're always up for learning. So if you give us a topic and we don't know about it, we're either going to go find somebody that knows a lot about it, or we're going to do some research ourselves and make sure we can get you some of those answers, because that's literally what we are doing here. Like this, we're trying to build a community of dads, so we are dads that constantly need help, and we are here. The best way to help somebody is to learn and then give that knowledge to somebody else. So that is what we are here doing. We want you guys to pass on that knowledge, pass on this podcast if you get that too. And, we're here to help. So if any of you guys have a question, reach out to any of us at our socials. It's a Dad Thing Podcast at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Apple review. I don't know, whatever, wherever. We're on like Apple, we're on iHeartRadio, like all the other places for podcasts. So I think anywhere you can find a podcast, we should have crept into, that little space somewhere. So if we haven't, let us know. We'll try to get on there. But excuse me, I'm burping, which is great for a podcast. So professional. Anyway, yes, Steven, I'm really glad to actually be sitting down and like doing this episode with you.
Yeah,
I know you're standing up doing the episode, but regardless, to be here with you. Look, he's so agile. Golly, you look like a damn Muppet. Like, I mean, I know nobody can see. By the way, I love the Muppets. I really do. A Christmas Muppet Carol. All right. Anyway, all right. Good stuff. Steven, I'm very thankful that you and I were able to sit down and do this. Obviously,
likewise
at night after everybody's gone to bed. So hopefully, as soon as I wrap up here, I don't have 4 kids that are awake going, "Dad, you're too loud." Right. Because that's how my kids talk. Like they're like they're 25 already. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on doing this. I know, like, we got to keep each other accountable because we want to do this show. We want to make it great. And and any, like I said, any of you dads out there, anything we can do, whether it is, you got a suggestion or a topic, or you want to come on and talk about something, or you want to hawk something, like, let's do it. Right. Let's do it. Let's do a show. And Steven, like I said, like Steven said, I want to try to recap this year. I want to talk about, what we've been through, not only 2020, but us as dads. kind of that dad life of 2020. If we can do that before the end of the year, we're going to try. We're going to try our damnedest to do it.
Yes.
And then, season 2 coming next year to an ear close by, ear near you.
I don't know.
Hopefully
that
the two
didn't work.
Yeah, well, you try things and it's okay to fail as a dad.
We'll edit it out and post.
Take 2. Yeah, I'll cut that out. I'm not going to cut it out. Okay. Anyway, I'm rambling now, Steven. You got anything? Can you save me here?
No, that's it, man. That's it. Thank you guys again for listening to another episode of It's a Dad Thing podcast. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you guys. Thank you. Bye. And happy holidays.